help divide Nigeria today.
Hello my people, now welcome to Naija Pidgin. Omo here na pidgin, na true pidgin na we dey take talk to una not ask the hot for this our channel. Omo, before I go tell una the thing where dey sup, with the title alone you don't know the thing where dey happen. Wetin dey happen inside the video now, even this northern man wey be say una dey see for the screen now, wetin dey talk now be say okay, make dey divide this country. Although opinion plenty wey be say me I go chook una, wey be say una be my fans, opinion plenty, but make sure say okay you no skip any part of this video, because no be only this man be the person wey be say talk about the matter. The matter long, the matter na long matter wey be say only me no go fit even judge am. Na una wey be my fans now, una go fit help me judge this matter. If not, this matter e long pass me. Although wetin dem dey talk come outside now, e talk say the talk be say na Naija matter, this Naija matter. Some of them, some of the our guys now, some Igbos and some Yorubas now, then they don't dey come out. Even some Hausas, they don't dey come out and now say okay they no want this together again, because the way this tribalism and sentiment dey favour some part of this country, they no want am, especially the way dey favour Yorubas. Now wetin dem dey talk, no be me talk am, although una go hear am for this video. Although me I get my own opinion wey be say me I wan drop for this about this matter wey be say in the sub now. Wetin me I wan talk about this matter be say, you see this division wey be say dey talk, if they divide this country, this country we go start afresh again. Everything go start afresh, because okay, you see all this thing wey we say they don't do, all this stuff wey we say okay they don't do for this country. If they divide this country now, anywhere you fall into, like any joint wey be say okay they fall into inside the division, and I go start una own a country afresh again, and e no go make sense. Before una go start country afresh, when you go come better by that time, also we say we dey talk now, if you don't buy that time. Now it's me I get to talk about this matter. See this division wey be say okay they talk about, I mean they just forget about them for now, because okay, see now wey be say this thing they still dey together, make they just carry their self cheche, make they settle all this matter, make they leave tribalism. Me I know say okay na tribalism and sentiment na im make some they come outside now they talk say okay make they divide this country. Me I no blame people wey say make they divide this country, though, but if you talk one you go talk two. This thing now, if you divide them, some part will suffer, because you get some part where go like when you go favor, get some parts where we say okay, you see all this food where we say we dey talk about, okay they can't divide them now. You get some parts of this you get some parts where we say okay they go fall inside free, and you get some parts of this country where we say okay they go fall enter sufferness. Now no wetin me I dey talk about, and wetin I get to talk about this matter be that. Although me I go like you wey be say you dey hear me now, make you drop your own opinion too for comment section after you don watch this video. Please make sure say you no skip any part of this video, and also if na today be the first time wey be say you dey come across our channel, abeg make you like, make you share, and make you subscribe, so that anytime wey we drop any matter for this channel now, you go be the first person where we say they go notify. Thank you.
No matter your comments, no matter what you say, it doesn't bother me. You are trying to divide us. You can't divide us. This country you see, Nigeria, nobody can divide us. Nobody they go anywhere. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, we are one. In a country like ours, we have three sets of people. We have the tribesmen, we have the idiots, and we have the citizens. Are you the tribesmen trying to divide us? You don't lose. You cannot divide this country. We are one. I followed Obi. I delivered my polling unit in Lagos to Obi. I delivered my local government in Lagos to Obi. I delivered Lagos State to Obi. I didn't hide. I did it openly because I love Obi. Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, it doesn't bother me. My children are Igbos, and I love them dearly the same way I love Obi. So you trying to divide us, you trying to leave bad comments to make me feel bad. Etik bofo.
Duk abin da za ka mana 2027 tana zuwa. Inda muna da hankali kuma ba za a sayi wasu daga cikin mu ba. Me na lallashi? Kuma Najeriya kuke so a raba, to wai menene ma a Najeriya da ba za a raba ta ba cikin salin alin? Ku raba mana ita, ba a kashe kowa ba, kowa ya tafi. Inyamurai su tafi su yi kasar su, Yarbawa su tafi su yi kasar su, mu zo mu yi daula Usmaniyan mu. Dan Allah, dan Annabi, yan arewa ku je ku sabu manyan kudu ku ce dan Allah a zo salin alin ana shan shayi a raba kasar. Mun gaji. Ku kyale mu, ba talauci ba, kyale mu da talaucin mu. Amma muna cikin kayan mu. Amma a ciki miki. Ku kyale mu zo mu ga in an raba kasar yanzu mu ga wani wanda zai zo a nan gun kuma mun san shi, ya san iyayensa da garin su, ya zo ya ce mana zai ci gaba da wannan hawan kawarar. Ya ga yadda ake. Ya ga kuma yanda zamu yi.
That the history of this country is something that year on year we'll take a look at things and see, in a manner of taking stock where we are coming from. But then for quite a number of people, they think that we didn't have a properly defined manual in terms of where we're coming from. As such, we seem to be wobbling, trying to achieve the big target such that everybody kind of did thumb their chest and say, for this green white flag, I stand. Did you share the same view that we don't seem to have it properly cut out from the start?
Well, when people look at taking a discussion on Nigeria, everybody will look at it from their own perspective. And some people will say, let's go all the way back to when the British came. Even some people say, no, let's go beyond when the British came, and so on and so forth. But the point really is that Nigeria is a nation that is not working, and everybody can appreciate that it's not working. The point of takeoff is, if it's not working, what do you do? How do you really want a country? Do you want a federation? Do you want what we have today, which is a unitary government?
Unitary?
Yes, we have a unitary government that is...
even though it's a federal system, according to our laws.
That is covered by something called a federation, but we know that that is not true. Essentially, if you're a federation, that means that you're all contributing. But what we have is not a federation in which everybody is contributing. We have a federation in which a few people are contributing and the rest are a sharing federation where we just sit down there to share. And that's why you have talks about devolution of power, restructuring, and so on and so forth. And I can tell you this, to bring it very clear. Sometime in the, I think in the 7th Senate, either in the 7th Senate or in the 8th Senate, we had a debate on devolution of power in order to amend the Constitution. And while we were having that discussion, we also had a vote. And the vote for devolution of power failed. And it failed principally because some of our colleagues from certain sections of the country felt that they will lose if devolution of power goes on. And after that vote, I had a discussion with a former governor of one of the northern states. And I sat with him and I said to him, I really need to know why you're so much against devolution of power. Because it will also affect you positively. And he told me, he said, you know, every month I have asked governor, we used to come to Abuja to get allocation of funds from the federal purse. If that is removed, my state will collapse because we cannot generate what will give us the funding to be able to run the state. And that gives you an idea of how the federation is run. I didn't blame him. What I blamed was the fact that we had, by either choice or happenstance, found ourselves in a situation in which nobody thinks outside the box. Nobody tries to say, how do I wean myself from this? With apologies to Ekweremadu, he called it a feeding bottle structure.
Senator, is it a function of the system of government we are running, or it's just the way we are? Because, I mean, you would also recall, as many would, that in the First Republic, the different regions were economically vibrant, and they didn't have to depend on the center for anything.
Well, you know, sometimes you can do something you think is good, and you will end up taking it to a situation where it is no longer viable. At the point at which General Gowon needed to win the war and set things, that's when they created the 12-state structure. Subsequently, after the 12-state structure, because each of those states was still viable on its own, then every other military regime that came tried to appease maybe constituents, elements within the country and all that, and continue dividing and creating entities. And now we find that entities are just not viable. And so each entity now has to wait to go cap in hand every month to be able to have sustenance to service the bloated structures. It's not that it can't work. It is that when you get used, and that's why we use the simile of feeding bottle. When you get used to just living off something, then you are no longer motivated, let's just say, to work for yourself. And we can see this very clearly. Niger State in Nigeria is bigger than the whole of almost Western Europe, Niger State. Yet, just a small part of Western Europe called Netherlands supply milk to the whole world, and you're able to survive. But Niger State cannot on its own survive. It has to come here every month. So you ask yourself, with all this landmass, with every other thing that is with you, why are you not focusing on your strength?
You know, that the views of that former governor, it's important, because it's more like a window into the mindset. Because we also spoke to some top politicians, off the camera, and they thought, the way the South or some part of the South have gone about this is part of the problem. Because they feel if you stay in the South and you have meetings in one or two states or two cities, and you don't approach the North, because in politics you know about lobbying, you don't approach them and explain some of this in such that they can see the reasons, automatically people will shut it down. Don't they have a point when they say that?
Yeah, they do. I was just giving you the reasons why you will find that efforts being made to change our way of life hits a brick wall. Another thing is this. It's also in the nature of people not to take the hard decisions. It's also in our nature to take the easy way out. And the easy way out is do nothing. Stay on what you have. Drum up support from your people. Because anytime you try to catch somebody, say, oh, his people will come out. So drum up support and all that. And then blame the other person for your inability to do the right thing. So if anybody says that you don't have a comparative advantage in this country at a particular zone, you will not be correct.
The different federating units, Senator, in Nigeria, the states in particular, there is hardly any state in Nigeria that cannot on its own potentially stand well. I mean, economically vibrant. Many people have postulated that. In fact, I saw a report by a consulting firm that identifies and itemizes the mineral resources, mineral deposits, and agricultural capacity of every state in Nigeria. Is it that, if this is true, is it that the state governors are incompetent, or they are not looking in the right way, or there is some federal government, power that is holding them down?
Well, I guess it's a combination of all manners of things. And I would say that in looking at it, you can't say, oh, these people are... I'm just saying this. Yeah. Taking the hard decision, it's always very difficult for people to do. So what they want to do is always to take the easy way out. What is the easy way out? Mm-hmm. You ask yourself, so we sell as much oil as possible, then we come out and then we share, and then we just go. That is the easy way out. The hard way is for you to look at your place and ask yourself, what do we do within this this area that we find ourselves? How do we... you just mentioned the time we had different regions. Now, at a particular point, the Eastern region was the fastest growing economy. And it was based on one simple thing, on palm oil. Now, at that time that it was growing fast and it was on palm oil, the Malaysians came and they took our palm kernels and fruits and went back to Malaysia, and they have turned it into being the leading exporter. And we now have to, anybody who is an importer, a manufacturer here that needs to use palm oil as its base for production has to import it from outside. So you ask yourself, from one regional government, I think the governments there now are about 11 or so. They should have been more efficient. But rather, I guess the breaking up of all that has made them more inefficient. And that is part of the bane of our economy today.
But Senator, if that's the view that they have, still on that perception that, well, if they don't get revenue from the center, the state will collapse. But there's also been several analyses and several reports that in years to come, oil will not be as viable as it is today. So why don't they see that?
Well, I think that's a question I can answer.
Because if political leaders
is a question that position, anybody who is a head of an entity called a state will have to answer. You have to ask yourself, you have a maximum of 8 years. How do you impact on it to change the narrative in your state? And I continue to say, maybe our leadership recruitment mechanism is faulty, and therefore we end up always recruiting leaders.
But they say politicians don't allow the younger ones to come on board, because at the time too, the average age was really low, but now...
There is nothing that says younger people are better leaders, because we can take a census of the state governors we have today. The younger ones are the ones that everybody has an issue with.
No, but the country had younger leaders at the time. They were the ones who led the country.
That is the point. We really find this very, very interesting that our leaders at that time were very young. They were in their 30s. They were, very idealistic and all that. So what is it that has happened to our leaders of today? Must be something.
All right, before we go to